AC system.
Alright, so in this video I'm going to walk you through a diagram of a basic car AC system, and then I'll take you over to the car and I'll show you how the different components look in real life as well. Alright, so on this system we're going to start at our battery junction box, which is basically your underhood fuse box, and in our case it's going to be both these guys here. Alright, so on this system we got two wires coming out of our battery junction box, and both of them are hot, in other words carrying voltage. And they both go to our AC compressor clutch relay, which in our case is going to be this third relay in this box, so in other words this guy right here. And these are usually going to be a 4 or 5 pin relay. Alright, so one of these wires from our battery junction box goes to the control side of our relay, and the other wire goes to our switch side of our relay. And when the control side becomes energized by this coil receiving ground from our PCM, it pulls on the switch, and once this closes it allows current to pass through our relay to our AC compressor clutch coil, and that engages our AC compressor clutch, therefore turning the shaft inside our AC compressor and giving us cold air inside the cabin. So here's a look at our AC compressor on this car. It's down here, but here's a better shot of a compressor outside the car, and this is the connector that supplies both voltage and ground to the coil that's inside this compressor. Now the way the PCM knows when to supply ground to the control side is through our low and high pressure switches. Alright, so on this car, here's a look at our high pressure switch that happens to be mounted on our receiver dryer here. And our low pressure switch is actually mounted on our AC compressor, and I can't really get you a shot of that, but it's right underneath it. Also, a good way to find your switches is to just simply follow your AC lines that come out of your compressor. The smaller one is going to be your high pressure side, and the larger one is going to be your low pressure side. So on this car, the smaller one goes from our AC compressor to our AC condenser, from there to our receiver dryer, and that's where our high pressure switch is. Alright, so for this AC system, both the high pressure side and the low pressure side supply ground to our PCM. Now the best way to think of these switches is to think of them as circuit breakers. Basically, when they're in a closed position, the circuit is complete and they allow ground or current to pass through them, and when they're open, they break the circuit and don't allow anything to pass by them. Alright, now even though I just told you to think of them as circuit breakers, but these switches work slightly different as in how they're open and closed. See, the high pressure switch is usually in the closed position under normal circumstances, and it only opens when the pressure inside your high pressure side goes past a certain amount. Alright, so let's just say for the sake of argument you have a badly clogged receiver dryer or an expansion valve. So what happens is that the AC compressor is just going to keep on pressurizing the AC system, and if you don't have that pressure switch on the high side that opens when the pressure passes a certain amount, you're going to have lots of problems. You're either going to bust the AC condenser, the lines, the O-rings at the connectors, or you can damage your AC compressor as well. So yeah, hooray for the high pressure switch, because that's when it opens and breaks the circuit, not allowing your AC compressor to keep running. Now as far as how you can test a 2-wire high pressure switch, pretty simple. You can test it on the car without removing it. Basically remove the connector that goes to it and use your multimeter to test the 2 pins of that switch for continuity. If you have continuity, then that sensor is not the problem, and that's not why your AC compressor clutch is not engaging and your problem is something else. Now if you don't have continuity, before you condemn that sensor, you need to make sure you don't have a bad clog in your high pressure side, and basically you'll need a AC manifold gauge set to test for that, and I have video covering that and showing you how you can do that. I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. Now the low pressure switch works different though. In other words, sitting outside the car, it's in the open position and it needs pressure to close and allow current or ground to pass through it. Now, as far as how you can test a 2-wire low pressure switch, while this pressure switch is installed in your car, and if you have enough refrigerant in your low side, this switch should be in the closed position, and again you can test it for continuity, and if you have continuity, again, that's not your problem. But if you don't have continuity, again, before you condemn that switch, you need to make sure you have enough pressure inside your AC system, or in other words, have enough refrigerant inside your AC system. A lot of times people make a mistake of condemning their pressure switches to the reason why the AC compressor keeps kicking on and off too frequently. And that's usually not because of the switches, but rather because they don't have enough refrigerant in the system. See, when you don't have enough refrigerant in the system, when your AC compressor sucks in the refrigerant from the low side and pumps it into the high pressure side, there's going to be a lag from where the pressure or the refrigerant can then go back to the low pressure side through your orifice tube or expansion valve and build up enough pressure there to close this switch. So again, if you don't have enough refrigerant, it's going to suck in too much refrigerant. The pressure is going to drop here too quickly, and this is going to open the low pressure switch, not allowing ground or current to pass through these switches based on whatever setup you have on your system. Now, once again, if your AC compressor clutch is not engaging, you're more than likely low on refrigerant, but you need to be able to add refrigerant properly. If you haven't done that before, I have a video on how you can exactly do that. I'll put a link to that along with some other videos on this side of the screen that you can click on. And with that said, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more like it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.